Hi there, it's Alan Garrett with After Comics, and this time we are looking into Marvel's venture into the paperback book world. Stan Lee was doing the tour of college campuses, and things were going quite well in 1966, and he decided where could be another avenue he could put in his famous Marvel superheroes. Well, he started thinking about bookstores and paperbacks, and there you go. The idea is born. So in 1966, Marvel came out with four paperback books: Fantastic Four, Amazing Spider Man, The Incredible Hulk, and Thor. Now, these were not original cover art, and they were black and white, sometimes only using one panel per page. Let me show you what that looks like. Yeah, one panel per page. People didn't really like it much, and sales were lackluster. So, what does Stan do? In 1967, he did it again with two other novels, The Fantastic Four Return and Here Comes Daredevil. Both again, black and white, both using a single panel per page. Now, the quick backstory on the Daredevil book is my sister was being hounded by a guy when she was in high school in 1970, and I had just started collecting comics. He was a comic collector, and she said, "Well, I'll consider it if you give me some comics for my kid brother." So one of the things he gave me was this Daredevil paperback, which I went crazy over. Again, black and white. Oh, Stanley did some great reviews on the back, so people would maybe be enticed to buy them. It didn't quite work. And my sister didn't end up dating poor Larry, but I did get some comic books and this cool paperback. So in 1967, a little bit later on, they switched off of Lancer books and went to Bantam books. And this time with original novels. One was The Avengers Battle the Earthwrecker, and number two, Captain America in 1968, The Great Gold Seal. Now, this time original covers and original novel stories, but guess what? Not a whole lot more success. So the idea for doing paperbacks with Marvel Comics were abandoned until 1977, when Stan Lee came back up with the idea, this time let's do color. This time let's do a complete comic on the page. And these were mine. I picked these up. Oh my gosh, I loved them. And the really cool thing about these, they reprinted not only the story, but also each one of the stories had the original cover. So this was Fantastic Four 1 through 6, Spider-Man 1 through 6 with the original covers, and The Incredible Hulk 1 through 6 with the original covers. That was 1977. 1978, they did it again. This time again with color stories, reprinting Amazing Spider-Man issues 7 through 13, and then a bunch of Tales to Astonish Hulks, Doctor Strange, and then they went on a tear for every month of 1978 with Conan the Barbarian, reprinting all of his stories starting with issue 1. So really successful this time out. In 1979, they did it again, but by the way, this time they did not reprint the original covers. They didn't print any of the covers, just the stories, none of the covers. 1979, they did it again with the third edition of The Amazing Spider-Man, second edition of Doctor Strange, first edition of Captain America, and Spider-Woman, of all characters, who was pretty new in Marvel Comics. Well, at the end of 79, it was thought of as a pretty successful idea. But I just jumped the gun a little bit, because in 1978, they came up with the idea of doing original novels. So let's back out of that, come over to this display case. They had a series of 11 novels, starting with The Amazing Spider-Man, and that was written by Len Wein. Spider-Man and Mayhem in Manhattan. These are all original novel stories, no comics in there, just novel stories. And this is 1978 going into 1979. The Hulk was number 2. Number 3, they started labeling issue number 3 original novels. Number 4, Captain America. Number 5, The Fantastic Four. Number 6, Iron Man. Number 7, an original Doctor Strange story in novel form. Number 8, Spider-Man with the Kingpin. And number 9 featured the X-Men and the Avengers in an original novel. Number 10, the Avengers battle King. This is a little tougher one to get. And number 11, it's the Hulk versus Spider-Man. Original novels, no illustrations, a few illustrations in there at the beginning of each chapter, kind of like a pulp, but not too much of that. So that is my look at Marvel's foray into the paperback. And I'll leave you with this, a Jim Steranko poster. I love that one for 1978. I love Jim Steranko. And you really don't see this very often, if ever. Just leave you with a little bit of that Steranko goodness. And a poster that I picked up earlier this year I've wanted since I was 14 because I did not make it to the 1975 convention. And yes, this is original, not a reproduction. You could tell by some of the edgeware. The great John Buscema and some of the characters, it's just beautiful. It's a full 24 by 36 inch poster, and I love it. Boy, did I just get off track from the novels. Anyway, this is Alan Garrett, and thanks for watching.